Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another amazing Wednesday One Thing. I am, of course, joined with my co-host here, Hamza. Hamza, how are you doing today, bud?
I'm good, Maury. Thanks so much for asking. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I got a really great story for you, and it's something that evolved from Twitter, and I think it really illustrates what's going on right now in e-commerce and the world generally with COVID happening. So basically, the story today is of this amazing blue French worker's jacket. And for anyone viewing out there, if you do watch this, I am not a super fashionable person. Like, I love my basics, which actually is great for the time right now during COVID because you don't have to go to the office. I'm not being invited to a lot of fancy parties. And so really what's thriving right now are basics, premium basics. And what happened on Twitter was someone remarked that this blue workman's jacket was the only thing they've been seeing. This person lived in Paris, but what's really funny is that one of the other brands I follow, and this is a shout out to Kotn, which is an amazing Canadian brand. They also sell this jacket, very similar. And that kind of had me thinking, like, what is really going on with fashion and apparel? Because we do deal with a lot of fashion and apparel companies, and the industry, it sort of seems to be in flux. And what's really interesting is the upheaval of this company called Rent the Runway. And so for people out there who don't know, Rent the Runway is this ginormous e-commerce success story. You could pay a monthly subscription fee and get access to really unlimited supply of luxury fashion that you could rent, return, and get new clothing. But right now, Rent the Runway actually discontinued their unlimited clothing service. So they actually discontinued it. And what that means is it's leaving a huge gap, I think, for companies like Kotn and people who are doing premium basics to really get in. So this story really spurred my interest in that. But what was really interesting is the next stage in the evolution of this, which is that Walmart, as of I believe Monday, recently launched their own brand of premium basics called, actually I forgot, oh, it's called Free Assembly. You can see it right there. And of course, what's really funny about the whole thing is you can see this gentleman on my right is wearing something very similar to that blue worker's jacket. And so, Hamza, I'm going to turn it over to you just for comment on this. Like, you are frontline working with e-commerce companies, you're frontline in the industry as well. Like, is this something that is actually true? Am I jumping to a conclusion about this, or what are you seeing on your end?
No, I don't think you're jumping to conclusions, Maury. I think the evidence is suggested in many ways over the past 6 to 7 months that the way market trends have gone are fundamentally changing the way different companies behave. And for example, the reason it's very reasonable for office wear companies to really wonder if their space is heading in a good direction. Whereas basics are flying. I mean, I've only worn basic tees for months and months and months on now. Even if we move back to the office, I think the days of me trying to put in a little bit of effort in the morning are probably done. This t-shirt is really hard to get rid of. And I think companies like Walmart are adapting to that by launching like a more premium line. And when you typically think of buying clothes from Walmart, it's kind of like you buy clothes from Walmart, but then you don't tell anyone you bought it from Walmart. And then Walmart's essentially trying to make some changes to that, and taking over the room that companies like Rent the Runway are leaving. And I wouldn't be surprised if more companies try adopting things like premium basic lines, just because of how important that is and how prevalent that is in the coming months. And just on that point, another thing I'd love to add would be talking about Nike. So, in contrast to how most companies have felt in 2020, Nike's actually had 82% growth in its digital sales since March, obviously, since the plummet in March. Its in-store sales have not returned, obviously. People aren't going to buy in stores as much anymore. But its online sales have actually really, really gone up in the past few months. And the reason is people are buying Nike because people believe Nike to be sort of these easy wear, athleisure basics. You can wear them home, wear them to work now because so many people work out of their offices, which are in their homes. And the way Nike's going really illustrates that. The way Walmart's going also illustrates that. And the decisions that the Runway has had to take, well, no, obviously not. It doesn't make me happy to hear about it, but it does make sense from a market trends perspective.
Yeah, I think what's kind of interesting about this Walmart position is that within e-commerce, I think there was this preposition that the way to succeed right now is to be hyper focused, do one thing really, really well. So for Rent the Runway, that's fashion, high fashion. But in a time that we're in right now, it's almost like diversifying has actually been very successful for someone like Walmart. But I think looking at some of the more niche brands, and I don't think Kotn is niche by any means, but certainly they are specifically focused on premium basics. I think it's very interesting within that category. I think there's huge room for companies that are focused on premium basics to succeed. Like if you look at some of the best e-commerce brands, they're not doing something like so revolutionary. They're just making one product or one basic element, but like super well designed. So, I mean, just some that come to my head are like Hush, another great Canadian company that they started by just making a really amazing weighted blanket and just stripping down to the most basic thing, but making it really high quality. They've been able to achieve a lot of success that way. Some other ones that come to the top of my head, I don't remember the name, but it's a very high quality floss, and of all things, but that seems to be like high quality, going deep, but making it mass appeal.
Yeah, I mean, it's spot on. And when you think about the industries that have shown a noticeable fall over the past few months, such as tailoring, suiting and tailoring, I think there's been a 14% decline in those revenues over there. Wedding season and prom season, and all these important events in the year and of the summer have been pushed and postponed, and in some cases indefinitely. That premium, think about like what people wear to proms and weddings is by definition premium wear. Now, I think the fact that that premium wear is sort of not as necessary or needed for consumers at the moment indicates that there's room in the market for other kinds of premium brands or premium wears to pop up. And premium basics seems to be a pretty good direction for those companies to be heading in. The fact that Walmart's doing it shows that it's clearly a worth it market trend, and wouldn't be surprised if we see many other major retailers, legacy retailers, as well as e-commerce brands, sort of follow the suit and launch their own lines very tailored to like basic wears.
Got it. So last thing, I'll get your take on it. Are you going to go and pick up the worker jacket from Walmart?
Probably not. I did promise myself I wouldn't buy many new clothes in 2020. It was one of my New Year's resolutions. But if it's really good and a good price point, then maybe, who knows.
All right. Well, then we're gonna crowdsource this to anyone who views us out on the internet. Go pick up something from Walmart from this new collection. Let us know what it's like, and we'll follow up with this in the future. Thanks so much, Hamza. I really appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Always a pleasure, Maury. Cheers.